Well, thank you for showing us your factory, Dr. Engel. It was very impressive.
As you see, you have to be very careful when you are dealing with silicon wafers. A little dust in that room could cause terrible problems.
But you think that we can make these solar panels in Tanaku with our help?
Yes.
There's still one problem, of course.
Oh?
You can manufacture solar cells and panels, but you will have to buy the electronic devices that control the panel output. For a few years, at least.
Oh, yes. The, what do you call them? The microprocessors in here. Yes, I must say, I don't quite understand why we won't be able to make those ourselves. Didn't you say that both solar cells and microprocessors are made from these silicon wafers?
That's right, Mr. Silver.
And we're going to make the wafers and turn them into solar cells, but we won't be able to turn the silicon wafers into microprocessors. Why is that?
It's a question of advanced technology. A solar cell is relatively easy to make. A microprocessor is not.
Ah.
Let me show you. In 1960, a complex electronic circuit needed a large number of components. But although the number of components was high, it was relatively easy to assemble them. By 1970, we had reduced the size of the circuit. And later, we were able to contain the same circuit on a silicon chip.
You mean this can do the same job as all these?
That's right, Mr. Silver. So, the electronic component has become smaller, but the manufacturing process has become more complex. If you have time, I will show you.
Oh, yes, please do.
Now, please sit down.
Thank you.
The development of a relatively simple integrated circuit usually starts with a model like this. But for the design of complex circuits containing tens of thousands of elements, computer simulation is necessary. Designers and computers work together to develop masks which determine the circuit patterns that will be transferred onto each silicon chip. Here, the layout of a mask is checked and errors corrected so that the information required for future processing can be stored on magnetic tape. One method of making masks with very fine structures uses an electron beam. The beam, controlled by a computer, writes the structure on the mask. The circuits themselves are produced in the wafer processing center. A typical batch consists of 8,000 circuits with a total of more than 40 million elements. The utmost cleanliness and precision are required. Automation is widely used, with the human operator performing control functions. Testing is automatic too. In this test, probe needles check the input and output signals of each chip in a few seconds. Circuits which are not fully operational are rejected. The wafer is then broken up into individual chips. Each chip which has been passed as satisfactory is picked up by a suction tube and positioned in a preheated package. Then it is bonded to its connections with fine gold wires. Finally, an automatic tester checks the electrical functions of the circuit elements on the chip, part of the continuing progress which is leading to devices that will integrate many more circuit elements, will be many times faster, and will lose far less power than even microprocessors like this.
Well, have you read them?
Uh-huh.
Well, what do you think of the bid?
Well, if it succeeds, it proves my ideas were right. If it fails, then you're responsible, David.
Thanks a lot.
Have a drink.
Thanks. Well, it was lucky Schlesinger's Arab friends came up with the money we needed for the bottom line.
Yes, but on certain conditions.
Yeah.
EAU now has to set up a training program for power station engineers in their country.
Well, it was worth it, wasn't it?
I guess so. Well, we've gone about as far as we can.
You better send the whole bid in. Well done, David.
Your garden's looking very beautiful.
Yes, it is nice, isn't it? Lavender's particularly good this year. I think it's that agricultural program I'm working on. It's taught me a lot of things about gardening I didn't know. So, you're off to London?
Yes. I'll have to go there quite often while we're examining the bids. There are only 2 turnkey bids. But a lot of firms have tendered for various parts of the project. They all have to be evaluated. It's a very big job. James has asked me to help again.
To decide on the best method of silicon production?
Yes. 2 processes have been proposed. Faulkner uses one, Pencil the other. We have to choose between them. Billy, you're quite sure it won't?
No. It's fully programmed. Will it take long to evaluate the bids?
Well, James will be working on them for about 6 months. But I don't have to be there all the time.
He ought to use a computer.
Oh, he does. Because a lot of the evaluation depends upon personal judgment.
And that's where you'll play a part. Oh, dear. I've just remembered something. That flower bed at the end of the lawn.
Well, what about it?
I've just enlarged it. It wasn't there when I programmed the lawnmower.
There seems to be a discrepancy here. Our specification requires the main steam pressure to be 183.4 bar. In your tender, this is shown as 190 bar.
Yeah. Well, our partners in Germany are responsible for that section of the bid.
Well, if you can let me have the answer as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The National Development Agency won't be satisfied with this density of housing, Mr. Taylor.
Not satisfied.
I know that housing conditions in Tanaku are not luxurious, but the government wants to have better conditions in the new town to set a new standard.
So you think we should allow more space?
Yes, I do.
I see. Well, you know the cost will be...
The cost will be higher, yes. But could you let me have a revised estimate?
Okay.
You'll agree that it's very important that the silicon should be as pure as possible.
Of course.
But from the details here, it's impossible to tell whether the silicon will be pure enough.
I promise you there'll be no doubt about that, Dr. Walker. However, I will ask our experts to draft this section again.
Thank you. That's most helpful.
I take it you have read Mr. Clark's report?
Yes, I have.
We need to discuss it.
Oh, right. Bettina, would you stay and take notes, please?
All right. Now, the Pencil Group and the Faulkner Consortium have both submitted turnkey bids, which put them well ahead of any other bidders.
Ahead of all the package bids, yes, but I can't make out which turnkey bid Clark thinks is better, Pencil or Faulkner. I've examined all the figures, and there's very little to choose between them.
We must make a choice as soon as possible. The president is getting impatient.
Oh. Suppose they both knew how close they are. Perhaps one of them would reduce their bid price or offer us some additional benefit. Do you think I should arrange to let the press know?
Much as I sympathize with that idea, Manuel, I think it unwise. The World Bank is very strict about proper procedures in bidding. If the bank found out that anything improper had been done, it would withdraw support. No need to record that, Bettina.
Very good, Dr. Azevedo.
Hello? Bettina, nice of you to call. News of Clark's evaluation.
Your telex noted. Investigate what kind of additional offer would be most favored by National Development Agency. Please advise me soonest. Regards, Watanabe.
Investigate? How?
Your contact at the NDA, perhaps?
Contact? Yes, you're quite right, Mrs. Gima. I'll arrange a meeting. Oh, yes, and a bottle of champagne.
Champagne? Oh, Edward, how lovely. What are we celebrating?
Well, we're not celebrating yet. But you may be able to help me.
Oh, I see. Well, what do you want?
It's about the Silicon project.
Oh, that.
Pansel is ready to make an additional offer. The question is, what sort of an offer would the NDA most like to receive?
That's a big question, Edward. Information like that could be very difficult to get.
Naturally, I'll pay you for the extra work.
$5,000?
I do believe you're getting greedy, my dear.
Well, you've taught me a lot, Edward.
So it seems. Very well. But I want the information as soon as possible.
Mr. Silver wants a cement works.
What?
A cement works on the Calamaro Plateau. But he can't have one because there's no electricity there. If your people could give him that, he could go ahead with his project. He'd be very grateful.
You know this already?
Of course. He's been crazy about developing the plateau for a long time.
Power. For the plateau. Yes, that wouldn't be too difficult. It could be worth a silicon contract.
It's worth $5,000.
Right.
The Calamaro Plateau, I understand, is a problem area for Tanaku. Now, your new power station for the Silicon project will be sited here on the west coast. A transmission line will run south down here in order to service the Silicon plant, the solar panel factory, and the new town at Yatu Beach. Gentlemen, in order to demonstrate our goodwill towards Tanaku, we propose to offer your country an additional benefit. We will build another transmission line from here, which will provide a source of electrical power on the Calamaro Plateau.
It would provide power to the plateau at no extra cost to us.
Quite so, at no extra cost to you.
Of course, I agree that we should be grateful for the offer. But the value of an extra transmission line depends on what we can do with the power when we've got it.
Forgive me, Dr. Azevedo, but surely there are a number of industries that can be set up.
A cement works, for instance.
A good idea, Mr. Silver. That would provide employment for the people in the area.
We've already looked into the possibility for cement works. A preliminary survey has been done, and electrical power on the plateau would make that project possible.
Some sort of development is needed urgently in order to provide the people with employment.
I agree in principle. But I suggest we ask our consultant to evaluate this very interesting offer from Pansin. Let him investigate the cement works project and advise us on the best course of action. Meanwhile, thank you, Mr. Watanabe. Thank you very much. Have you tried any of our local dishes before?
Oh, yes, they're delicious.
I want copies of everything. I think that went well. Silver is very keen on the cement works. It's rather a good idea of mine, power for the plateau.
We shall see, Mr. Ferguson. You are certainly well informed. It was you who told us about Yatu Beach in the first place. My company is always ready to reward people as they deserve.
Thank you.
Although we haven't got the contract yet, of course.
Well, neither has anyone else.
Quite so.
Well?
I don't understand. Why can't we just accept the Pansil tender?
No, Manuel, we must listen to what James Clark has to say. And another thing. The Faulkner Consortium may come up with an even more attractive offer.
But they don't know about the Pansil offer, do they?
No, but it's fairly normal at this stage for bidders to offer extras. They'll probably learn that Mr. Watanabe has been here. In fact, it would do no harm if they heard that he had been here, Manuel. Then, if Faulkner offered us something extra,
we would be pleased to consider it.
Rose?
David? Harry here.
Harry?
Faulkner, damn it. Don't you know who I am?
Oh, Harry. Yeah, hello. I was asleep.
Asleep?
Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning in England.
Oh, that's too bad. Have you heard anything from the consultants?
No, I'm still waiting.
Waiting? Well, while you're lying around in bed, other people are on the move.
Other people? What other people?
Pansil, of course. Silva called me to ask about payments. He mentioned that Pansil's vice president was out in Tanaku again. My guess is they're stepping up their offer in order to get ahead of us.
Could be. We do it ourselves often enough.
Get on to James Clark. Find out what it's all about.
Yes, Harry.
Call me in the morning.
Okay, Harry.
First thing.
The cement works.
Manuel Silva talked about it when we first went out there. Don't you remember?
Ah, yes. You went to the plateau with him. Did the cement works make any sense?
Difficult to say. I didn't carry out a survey, and I certainly don't know about the commercial aspects.
Well, they could be interesting. But first, we need to know whether their geological report was sound.
That would be easy to check.
Easy for you to check.
Me?
Yes, you're a good geologist. You do the investigation.
What?
All you have to do is check this report item by item. If you're satisfied that it's correct, we can discuss it further.
If I am satisfied, will you agree to the project?
I shall judge it on its merits and take note of anything you recommend.
All right. I'll do it.
Good. Yes?
Mr. Rose is here.
Mr. Clark, I'm not asking you to give me confidential information. I know you can't do that.
Then what do you want, Mr. Rose?
I want to help your clients in Tanaku. I'm sure you won't object to that.
Of course not. Please sit down.
Thank you. So, is it true that Mr. Watanabe has visited Tanaku again?
Yes, that is true.
Has he made a new offer to your clients on behalf of Pansel?
I'm afraid I can't talk about that, Mr. Rose.
But you don't deny it?
I don't confirm or deny it.
Am I right in thinking that Pansel's tender for the Silicon project is very close to ours? You don't deny that either? The Calamaro Plateau, Mr. Clark.
Yes?
It's
a problem area in Tanaku. There's an urgent need for development.
Yes.
Oh. So if my company were to offer some means of developing this area, I take it your clients would be interested?
I imagine so. What means are you thinking of?
I don't know yet. May I ask you, though, not to take any decision on the Silicon contract before you hear from me again?
Well, there's still some work to be done before a decision is taken. Say, another fortnight?
2 weeks. Very well. Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. I'll be in touch with you as soon as possible. I'm flying straight to Tanaku.
As a matter of fact, so am I.
Oh, you're going to Tanaku?
That's right.
Perhaps we'll run into one another.
I'm sure you will.
Ah, Bettina, you are still here. What are you doing with those documents? I think you better give them to me.
Yeah?
Harry? David Rose.
What? It's 2 o'clock in the morning.
You told me to report. First thing.
First thing, I know, but I didn't... All right, get on with it. Have you seen the consultant?
Yep. And I think you're right. Pansel has made another offer.
I thought so. What is it?
It's probably to do with developing the Calamaro Plateau in some way. I'll find out. I'm just leaving for Tanaku.
How come Pansel got ahead of us?
I don't know.
There are a lot of things you don't know. You better find out fast. Find out what we can offer in order to improve on Pansel. Do it, Dave. Think of something. I won't accept any excuses for failure. You read me?
Yes, Harry. I read you.
It's just a matter of time. A few weeks, maybe. And Pansel will get the contract. It's worth millions of dollars. If Watanabe offered me only 1%.
I'll see you tomorrow, Mr. Ferguson.
Oh, good afternoon, Mr. Watanabe.
Good afternoon.
It's nice of you to drop in. Is there anything I can do for you?
Yes, Mr. Ferguson. If you would be so kind, may I see a copy of our agreement?
Agreement?
The one appointing you as our agent in Tanaku.
Oh, that one. Mrs. Geeman, please.
I promised you, Mr. Ferguson, that my company would reward you as you deserve.
Oh, yes. Has Pansel been given the contract, then?
I've just been to see Dr. Acevedo. In fact, he sent for me.
Really?
Apparently, Mr. Silva's secretary, a young lady called Bettina, has been found copying confidential documents in order to sell them.
That's dreadful. Disgraceful.
The girl has confessed that you were paying her to spy on her employers. Yes, thank you. Mr. Ferguson, the honor of my company is at stake. Fortunately, Dr. Azevedo has taken my word for it that I and my company knew nothing of what was happening. He is therefore allowing our bid for the Silicon project to stand. Yes, Clause 7 is perfectly clear. You have broken the terms of your agreement with us, and you no longer have any association with my company. Goodbye, Mr. Ferguson.